Good evening and welcome back to Classically Schooled. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and I am ready to try to get this Picade working, whether it wants to or not. Alright, let's see who we have in the chat. I see I have Alex and Thomas and Eric. Welcome. And Luke. Yes, going live is always a good way to see that there are more people. So, I think it's time to get right on to business. So, I have the Picade. Yes, please smash that like button. And if you haven't entered the 64 subscriber giveaway, the link is in the chat. And yes, I wanted to wear it Monday night, but I didn't know where the shirt was. Of course, I found it Tuesday morning. So, I'm wearing it now, even if I didn't have it on Monday. Although my basement was probably 10 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than it was today. So, it is tolerable in a t-shirt for at least the next little while. Worst comes to worst, I'll run upstairs and grab a pullover. But anyways, I'm going to try to rock the Raspberry Pi t-shirt tonight. Try to get this Picade cooperating. It has not moved very far on the bench because I haven't had a chance to do anything to it. So what I'm going to do is remove the console so that I can do a continuity check on all of the buttons because something is up with them. Also, because I've got all the wires disconnected. I also, because I'm not quite sure that the Picade is compatible with the latest version of RetroPie, which came out on Monday, and I did not realize that they released a new version on Monday. Because Monday morning, RetroPie 4.7.1 was the latest version. So Monday evening when I went to create the micro SD card, I think the Raspberry Pi imager even told me it was downloading 4.7.1, but lo and behold, the RetroPie community, or authors, or whatever kind of group it is, they released 4.8 in time for Pi Day. So part of the problems I was seeing might be because Pimoroni has not updated their drivers for whatever version Linux is on the 4.8 image. But luckily, thanks to someone on the RetroPie forums pointing out that all of the releases are on their GitHub, I have, focus, and not blow it out, I have a second microSD card here, has 4.7.1 on it. I also know that I will need to change the keyboard input type before I try to enter my Wi-Fi password on it. So hopefully I won't stumble for I don't know how long trying to enter my Wi-Fi password, all because I'm typing a pound sign instead of a dollar sign. I'm also hopeful I'll get this working because I have a USB thumb drive here that has some games on it. Because I do have NES cartridges, so I just brought a selection down to kind of show that, yep, I do actually have retro games. I don't have Missile Command. I'll have to try to find that one. Also, you're on your own if you want to know how to get games. I am not going to run afoul of YouTube community guidelines. So, I know everyone probably has their own collections of vintage game console games. You're on your own as to how they get onto your Picade. Alright, so I guess without further ado, let me go ahead and remove the two screws that let's see here. I think it's only 2 screws that are holding this on. Yeah, I'll have to try to find Missile Command. I have more games than that. I just only brought a handful down because I don't keep my NES games down here. Those were also some easy to find games. Well, they are not on the Pi yet. They're on that USB thumb drive. So, actually, I don't have to map any network drives because I followed the RetroPie instructions for creating a USB drive that you can then use to install the games. Basically, for that process, I'll be more than glad to tell you. You format a USB thumb drive, either FAT32 or exFAT. You create a folder in the root called Picade, or no, RetroPie. I'm getting the two products confused. Create a folder called RetroPie, all one word, I think all lowercase. And then you boot RetroPie, and then you stick the thumb drive in, and once it auto mounts, it will actually create a folder structure for you. And then you remove the drive, and then you can copy your legally acquired games onto that USB thumb drive using the proper folder structure. And then when you put it boot RetroPie back up and put the thumb drive in, it will copy them to the Pi for you. So that's actually how you can get your legally acquired games onto your RetroPie. And in fact, I actually have some digitally distributed games that are like modern games for retro systems, although I'm actually trying to find the other... I dropped a fastener somewhere. Alright, well, oh, there it is. Okay. I mean, yes, I could also map a drive and copy them. So, I was going to actually put Planet X2 on here, but for some reason, C64 wasn't in the directory structure. Maybe the RetroPie doesn't support it by default. Alright, so I have opened this up. So now I should have good access to all of the buttons. Oh, there we go. Had a slight glitch where I think I was in between settings and it was set to the wrong thing. Alright. So in the off chance that the problem is actually a broken wire, that's why I wanted to test the continuity both at the button, although I'm not going to pull the wires off just yet, as well as I'll try on the other end of the wire. Well, that would probably explain things. There's a button that has an awfully high impedance. All right. I may have to pull these wires off of the end just to... All right. Now that was the button that was stuck in Monday and not making contact. Okay. Alright. That's not a very good button. It was taking an awful long time from press to... I heard the beep. I'm holding the button down. That's weird. Alright. Okay, so far still only one button that's... Well, there's a second button. What resistance is it reading? 300 and some ohms. Okay. So there's two buttons. Yes, these are such high quality buttons, which is kind of disappointing because actually on Monday I made a mistake as to how much the Picade plasma buttons cost. I think on Monday I said they were $20 for the 10 button set. No. Not even when I bought them back in 2020 were they $20. I think they were... They might have been $50 then, but they are $60 now. The button quality is quite disappointing for the price. Because there's a third button. I mean, it's either the button or the wires. So I'm going to pull the wires off to probably test them. Of course, if the crimp-on connectors are the problem, I don't know what I might have to fix that. Okay, come on. So, yeah, disappointing. Alright, my backup plan, if these buttons don't work, was to just use the buttons that came in the set. So, given the fact I'm already going to have to replace some, let me see if I can't... I'm just going to test these buttons real quick. Oh, wow. We are off to a great start. Yeah, I might have a problem. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough buttons to use once I... Because already I've got this button here that came with the Picade. It's not... Oh, that button's dead. Alright. I think I'm going to have to try an experiment here. Alright, there are no extra buttons. Okay. Houston, we have a problem. Yes, these are the highest quality cheap Chinese buttons. It looks like I'm going to have to get some more. I'll try to ask Pimoroni really nicely, because it's been an awful while since I bought this, but... Alright. I have no idea what kind of switch that is. But all right, let's see if by chance, because I did figure out that you can take the button apart. If I spray some Deoxit into the button, will that help it? Or is this just such a cheap button that... Alright. So basically, the way the button works is the top shell, there's two clips that on the underside I took a spudger. The clips are here and here, and just kind of pushed one out till it came out, and then, well, the other one was pretty easy to then get the spudger to remove. I should just be able to snap the button back in. Alright, so did the Deoxit do anything? Or is this still just a cheap button? Well, okay. That did not help. Well, I don't think there's any sense in wasting any more Deoxit. Alright. Oh, I need to work the button more? Is that with or without Deoxit? Well. Now it's time for Fidget Hour with Justin D. Morgan. Well. Okay. Alright, well, I guess if I'm going to do that, because yeah, now this button works pretty good. I guess the buttons, the contact's probably oxidized. Well, I'm going to have to remove these to deoxit them. I really would like to use the plasma. However, alright, there is one thing I do want to do before I go through the trouble of deoxidizing 10 arcade buttons. And that is, I want to see if the plasma drivers, if I can get the plasma feature to work. The problem is, yeah, well, I'm not live streaming for 3 days. That's for sure. Unless for some reason y'all managed to convince me to do like a streamathon for some noble cause. But that would have to be at a time when I don't have to be at work in the morning. And yes, there are a couple causes you could probably convince me to try a streamathon for, like the local food bank. But it might also help if I had more subscribers than 84. So don't forget about that 128 subscriber challenge. Because if I can blow past that, then maybe I can do some sort of a streamathon for the food bank. That'd be pretty cool. And yes, since I know most of you all, if not all of you all, don't live in my local area, maybe I'd do it for the was it Feeding America? Is that the National Food Bank? Although I don't have a lot of Canadian viewers. Maybe I could do it 50-50 between the American and the Canadian Food Bank National Associations. There's an idea. All right, help me blow past 84 subscribers to a number of subscribers where it would be worth my time to do a streamathon for food banks, and I'll do it. Plus, if I pass 128 subs by April 1st, then the LC's the prize. Yeah, okay, Alex is confirming that Feeding America is the one I was trying to think of for the U.S. I'm sure one of my Canadian viewers could help me out as to what their Canadian counterpart is, assuming that maybe they're not for North America as a whole. All right, but the one thing I do want to do, we must, yes. See, there we go. I am not opposed to doing things like that for the food bank. In fact, actually, on Farcebook, I've been doing birthday fundraisers for, well, actually, in this case, I do it for my local food bank. But yes, I am not opposed to doing things like that. So, yeah, I'll give it away. I like it. It's a cool machine, but hey, if y'all can help me get to 120 subs by April 1st, then I will give it away. Which means I'll probably buy another LC at some point. But hey, it's worth it. I'd be sharing a Mac that I loved back in the day with you all. With one of you all, I guess. Although I guess you could send it amongst yourselves if the winner so chose. All right. Back to what I was trying to do. Because if the plasma is not working, then I'm just going to put the standard arcade buttons in. Because there might be something wrong with the plasma buttons. And I'll get with Pimoroni. However, I think the problem might have been that the plasma driver may have not liked Linux that's in RetroPie 4.8. Although, there is one other thing I wanted to do even before that. And that is just to confirm that the micro SD card that I created on Monday really, really did get 4.8. And to do that, hold on. All right, how do we... There we go. And to do that, I actually did something you all suggested. And hopefully it actually is at a resolution that's not cropped. I have the HDMI out on the Raspberry Pi going to my HDMI capture input. So I don't have to lay it down on the table and try to point it at the camera, although it does look like, at least on my view, the resolution is kind of... How's that resolution look? Is it pixelated to you all too? Because if it is, then that's just a miserable fail. Oh, alright. Because I can't even read anything. You can't read... Oh, I can't read it. You can't read it. Oh, okay. There may be one other thing here. Because luckily, I can go back to what I was doing if necessary. Oh, wow. That's... Okay. Well, it looks like I'll have to go back to what I was doing momentarily. Okay, at least I've got a view where I can now read it, because that's the only way I'll be able to know what version of RetroPie I have. Linux 5.4.72 RetroPie project. Oh man, they don't have the... Yeah. Yeah, it looks sharp on a 4-inch screen. Yeah, I bet it does. That is just embarrassing. Okay, apparently StreamYard does not like the resolution that went to. So let me see. Okay, and that's not going to help either. All right. Yeah, I just checked to see if maybe if I went on OBS to the capture input, but it's pixelated as all get out there too. All right. All right. Well, I guess I'll have to do this because that is just unacceptable. Actually, the thing is, the Raspberry Pi was outputting at a higher resolution. That was all on StreamYard. Although the OBS looked horrible too. So it may be something to do with the resolution, but yeah, the software for my capture card where I can actually see what's coming in on the input, it was sharp as a tack there. All right. So unfortunately, all right, I know. Sometimes you just can't win. All right, so we are going to go to the fallback method because I think this was more readable than. Sadly, I think this was. Oh. Okay. I think that's sharper than the... I think that's sharper than the direct input was. Oh. Okay. All right, that was... Okay, does anyone know how to... All right, let me see if I can figure out how to tell what version of RetroPie I'm running. I suspect I'm just going to have to probably use some apt command to... Let's see here. No, that didn't answer my question. First result was a page telling me to check what version of you have from the Git repository. Let's see if I can... No, I don't think that will work. I mean, well, I guess I can try it. So is there actually a directory called... I think Reddit is wrong in this case. Oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong in this case. Maybe we're... Okay, I am surprised. I certainly thought there would not be a RetroPie setup directory in the... Okay. I'm glad I checked. Turns out I am running 4.7.1. Okay, so apparently the Pimoroni drivers don't like 4.7.1, potentially. I may... Alright, the fix to this may be worse than I anticipated. Okay, it looks like the plasma buttons are not going to work. The driver's not loading for some reason. I'm not going to debug that on stream, because it's scary when test engineers debug things to make code changes to them sometimes. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do, in order to get this up and running the most expeditious way possible, I will try the plasma, because I can test the plasma without them being attached to the buttons. I'm going to have to pull buttons anyways to get them to work. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the buttons that came with the Picade, and I am going to take them all apart, except for the one I've already taken apart, and I'm going to deoxit all the contacts. And then I'll pull the buttons that are in the arcade out, put these buttons in their place, and then later I can debug the plasma boards without them being attached. So that is my plan. Because I think the plasma buttons aren't working because the service that's supposed to run the plasma buttons is it's not successfully starting, because I saw the error when I looked that so something's up with the service. So that's why the addressable RGBs aren't working. The plasma server just won't stay running. And an ancillary problem is the documentation for their plasma services, or the command to change the colors. The commands, they've at some point changed the commands, but did not update their documentation. And if I try to enter the commands like the command line says to, if you just enter whatever the command is that changes the colors, if you enter that command exactly as the help says to, it complains that it's an unknown parameter. So I'll deal with the plasma later. I want to get the Picade working. I want to play Mario Brothers or Top Gun, or, although I'm bad at shooters like that, or one of these other games, or one of the other games I have. So let's get these arcade buttons working first. So I have my Deoxit out. I think these are the cans Adrian Black likes. So it's Deoxit. I'm using Deoxit in D5. Or is that Deoxit DN5? Or I don't know. Yes, games are good. But being able to play them because your buttons work is also good. So anyways, I'm going to put some Deoxit in the buttons and then immediately try to manipulate them. Yeah, Adrian Black cannot stand that they're new dispensers. So when I was at Micro Center last month and discovered that they were a Deoxit retailer, I was also pleasantly relieved to see that not only were they a Deoxit retailer, but I was not going to be forced to buy the awful can that gets Deoxit everywhere but your contacts. Or at least gets just as much Deoxit everywhere else as it does in your contacts. So, oh, the things I'll do to play games. So hopefully this will work. I think it's probably good to separate the problems, at least get the arcade up and running with the buttons that I know or will know will work, even if they aren't backlit. And then I can deal with trying to see what's wrong with the plasmas later. Because they're just basically an RGB chain, so all I really need to do is just, I can attach them to the driver board and see if I can figure out why the service isn't starting. It's probably because Pimoroni needs to update their drivers. But the weird thing is, 4.7.1... Actually, that means I don't think they've updated the software in their... Because I was looking at their GitHub repository, the Pimoroni one, and some of their Picade software, they haven't updated since 2019 or 2020. So, I'm not sure what version of RetroPie that they tested that with. Oh, good. Actually, I have my video RAM chips too. I had those on the same order as the video chip. So, which I'll probably get to that once we're out of Marchintosh. Because fortunately I ordered those when I did, because I placed an order with UT Source, I think it was Saturday, and they got an email from them Sunday saying the Chinese government had closed Shenzhen down, so my order was going to be delayed. Fortunately, the order I placed on Saturday was not for anything that I was going to be doing in the next couple weeks. So hopefully, even with the delay, I'll still get them by about the time I wanted to work on that project. Which actually I think it was a project I was going to try to do in May. So maybe it's just as well that I actually for once managed to realize what I needed to order a month and a half in advance. I know this is totally captivating. I'm doing the Deoxit where I am because even though the straw is not leaking, there are holes in the bottom of these arcade buttons, and I don't want to accidentally drip the Deoxit onto the Picade because these color objects are just printed cardboard. And I don't want to potentially get the paper wet and make it look bad. So I apologize for... Although then again, this is all I'm doing. I'm spraying Deoxit in it, and then I'm manipulating the buttons a bunch of times while the Deoxit's fresh just to work the contacts clean. And I've almost done all of the buttons. And then I'll test them. So hopefully... Yes, they do... Yeah, that's... I think I realized earlier today why they included all those stickers. Because I was thinking, wow, this is an awful lot of stickers to include with a project as a thank you for buying the project. Or the product. I realized, though, those are stickers to decorate your arcade cabinet. Those weren't a thank you for buying the product. Those were yeah. Hide your mistakes and bling out your arcade cabinet stickers. It's like, okay, yeah. So, I guess worst comes to worst, if I did get that paper wet on the console, I could always put a sticker over it under the plastic, but I don't particularly want to have to remove that piece of plastic unless I have to. All right. The moment of truth. So, I just am curious. So this is the button I did first as a trial. So I just want to make sure that it's still... Oh. It would help to turn my multimeter back on. Alright, I guess it's working better. I think these buttons may require... I think what I'll end up doing is... Okay. Probably what I'll end up doing is install these buttons and then end up deoxiting the clear ones, and hopefully we'll get the plasma to work. Because at the moment, it seems like at the rate these are going, I'm going to have to press them a bunch of times before playing games. Okay, that one's working pretty good. Alright, that one's good. Yeah, I hope so too. I'll pull off one of the plasma boards in a moment. If the LEDs are not on the boards correctly, I'm not reworking them. Because they are tiny surface mount LEDs. Because the LED is not in the button. It's on a board that you snap onto the back of the button. So it's a board Pimoroni designed that snaps onto the back of the button. That's where the LEDs are. Which I guess is a good thing. Because theoretically you could replace them if they went bad. But Pimoroni doesn't seem to sell them as a separate part. Yeah, these are... You know, quite honestly, I may order better buttons for this. Because these are... I may order... That may be the thing I do long term, is just break down and buy better buttons. I think this one needs a bit more Deoxit. Okay. Okay, either this button is going to require way more exercising to get it to work, or this one's... not a good button. Well, it's getting there. Alright, almost... Okay, this button is... This button is not reliable enough at the moment, so I'll have to use one of the clear buttons to get it to work, or I'll put that in a position where I'm less likely to need a button for tonight to at least make sure everything else is working. But if actually, Thomas, I'll measure these buttons. If you maybe know of a better source for arcade buttons, or anyone else in the chat for that matters. These are... I suspect they're a standard diameter. Looks like they're 30 millimeters diameter. The part that goes in the hole. And console 5. Okay, I'll see if maybe they still have them. And they are about 14.5 millimeters deep. So, if anyone happens to know of a better replacement arcade button that would fit those dimensions, or I think there is a little bit more room if the button was deeper, but they can't be like super deep. But I'll check console 5 and see what they might have. Alright, so that one seems to have worked itself out. Quite honestly, if I gotta frequently deoxit these, then yeah, I'll just replace them at some point with better buttons. Even if I can't use the plasma feature. Although I guess maybe if I could find something that I could hot glue the LED boards on the back, then that'd work too. Oh yeah, look at the quality. This... Oh! No, I'm not going to get the probe through that hole. The hole in the back of... There's a little hole in the contact on the back, and it's not drilled deep enough to clip the probe onto. Alright, so it looks like these buttons will work, except for the one blue button that... Alright, well, I guess let me see if I give it one more shot. Of course, I'm assuming the contacts in these buttons are not gold contacts, because I've got the Deoxit for gold contacts too, but I'm presuming these are not gold contacts. They feel like way too cheap arcade buttons. Okay, maybe this button's fine. It just needed to... Okay. I'll put it... Maybe I'll put it somewhere where I'm less likely going to need it. Okay, so let me put the buttons back together. So I'll use that for the... I was going to put the blue buttons where the shoulder buttons are anyway, so I'll put that on the right shoulder position. So, pink. Oh. Actually, I just looked at the box. I realized, I think the way the artwork's going, I need to put them yellow, pink, blue, because of the order of the colors in the stripe there. And then the black buttons go on the sides of the cabinet. Alright. Hi, Retro Techie. It's not fixed yet. So if you're playing the at-home Retro Techie Is It Fixed Yet asking coffee shot game, it is now time to pull yourself a shot of espresso and drink it. Note the game is totally optional. Alright, did I... Oh, no, of course not. Well, the good news is I did remember to buy myself paper towels for the basement. The bad news is I think I forgot to bring them downstairs. Or at least I've put them somewhere where... Oh, I sure thought I brought them downstairs, but... Well, I guess I did not. Alright, well, I'll just use this Q-tip to wipe up the Deoxit from my workbench so that I don't delaminate or get the MDF wet. Oh no, Console 5 no longer shows them. Okay, yep, I'll find some buttons yet. Oh, Retro Techie, we haven't drawn for the C64 yet. Anyone that hasn't entered still has until 11:59 Eastern Daylight Time on March 31st. All right. Yes, Retro Techie, you missed the absolutely captivating part where I put Deoxit into 10 buttons, and it was thoroughly captivating. All right. So anyways, Thomas, you were asking about, or mentioning the LEDs. So this is the board that comes with the plasma kit that the LEDs are on. So it's a little board. It goes over the contacts on the button. And unfortunately, I suspect these are all but certainly going to be very specific to these buttons. So on the back, it's got the 2 headers. And then on the front, there are 4 tiny surface mount RGB LEDs, and I suspect those are 4 tiny capacitors. So if they put these LEDs on wrong, this is smaller than I can rework. I could maybe get the capacitors, but those tiny solder pads on those LEDs are past my skill level at the moment. So hopefully the LEDs are on right. I'm suspecting it's a problem with the driver. And maybe I'll be able to figure it out. But Pimoroni has not updated the software for the Picade in several years. Although, if you go to their GitHub and you just look at the last modified date, you'll see that both the repos for both the Picade, the Picade X board, as well as the plasma LEDs was updated within the past 2 weeks. But if you actually go and look at what was updated, it was not code. I think someone started the updates to the documentation on one of the products, and I think in the other case it was they updated one of the graphics for the, I think one of the overlay graphics for the console. That's the updates that happened within the past 2 weeks. The code files seem to have not changed since 2020. And yet, I'm pretty sure I had the LEDs chained right. Because I double and triple and quadruple checked the orientation of the cable going to the Picade X board. Although I have to say, if Pimoroni wanted to improve their product, it would have been really nice to have designed the Picade X board to actually use the same connector that they put on the plasma buttons to connect them so that it was keyed. Instead, you connect the RGB chain to 2 terminals. There's a terminal marked button 7 and a terminal marked button 8, and then 5 volts and ground. So, someone from Pimoroni were watching. There is a improvement to your controller board. Design a new version that's actually designed to take the plasma buttons, or an RGB chain, not make it an afterthought. Alright, so I've almost freed the connectors. Have a few of these spade connectors. They're being really stubborn, and then I'll start to put the new the other arcade buttons on. Maybe I can use the... Let's see here if I can very gently use the plasma board to help this spade connector come loose. And yes, I'm making sure I lift up at a spot where surface mount components are not. There we go. There's that. And I've got one more of these buttons. Hopefully, there's that. There we go. All right. Well, at least the one thing is All right, we'll see you later, Thomas. Well, I guess I now have a slightly tidier interior to the Picade because there's not as many wires in there now. Enter escape 1-up coin. All right. Enter escape 1-up coin. All right. So I got those free. Well, Retro Techie, I don't remember saying that last stream. But we'll see. We will see. Maybe I will be able to find a generous benefactor to help award prizes. All right, so I'm going to actually also, to help with keeping the connectors tidy in the back, I'm going to connect the wires in order that they are on the board. Because when I had everything crisscrossed on the Picade X board, it made connecting everything ultimately that much more difficult. So those connectors go enter escape. Although unfortunately that means these are... I think the escape one is over on this side. Yep. And then 1-up is here. And coin is here. Alright. I got the black buttons reconnected on the front. And go ahead and reconnect those on the back. So we got enter, escape, one up, and coin. All right. Now the buttons. I am going to connect them also in order. So I have one, I guess I should probably route them this way. So we got one. Oh, wait. Hold on. I forgot to pull these buttons out first. Because I'm not reconnecting the clear buttons. They need Deoxit. Alright. I will deal with deoxidizing the contacts on these clear buttons later. Alright, come on out, buttons. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to put the less colorful or less RGB buttons in, and by less RGB I mean no RGB, because at least I got these buttons to work. Although they're still not the greatest buttons in the world. Come on, Pimoroni. I think you need to improve the buttons that come in your arcade kit. Oh, I'm also done with the Deoxit, so I can take those off. Alright, so connect these one. And I'm this time I'm not going to get fancy with my trying to route the cables nicely on the console side, because I realized it's more important on the Picade X board side than the console side. Because the wires are the wires are way more likely to pull out of the Picade X board than they are the arcade buttons, because these spade connectors actually more or less kind of lock in. So I'm connecting these in order, buttons 1 through 6, even though I'll show you how they're routed. So this is button 1. So it'll be in. So this is button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yesterday I tried to route the wires hopping this way, but when I went to put them in the Picade X board in the back, it was really hard to get them to stay in place because they were, well, the way I had to run them on the Picade X board, they wanted to help pull themselves out. So I think this routing will hopefully make it less likely that they'll want to pull out. All right. Let's see here. So we've got 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ah, yes. And the wires are... Ah, alright. And it's much easier to keep the wires in place. Okay. I'm also not going to try to screw the console on until I know that everything's working, because that was a major frustration point. Okay. But I am going to put the screws on so the console kind of stays in place better. Alright. Buttons are in. They're wired up to the Picade X board. Power is applied. The low-tech screen sharing method has been applied. And see, that service that failed to start was the Pimoroni plasma service. Alright, and I'm going to attempt to configure the buttons. Oh. So, alright. Up, down, left, right. So let's see here. Which side was which? Because I think I wanted to make start, enter, and select escape. I'm looking on the drawing, which is which. Oh. I'm going to have to try to look inside of it. All right. Alright, let me see if I can tell which is which. Oops. Oh, looks like I... Arg. Let me try this again. All right. Start okay, escape was on the left. All right. Well, let me see if I can. Oh, that's weird. All right. Well, did I unplug it by accident? No. Oh, well, that's interesting. I just realized there's a connector on this Picade X board for the plasma that the instructions didn't mention. Or rather, well, they mentioned... Well, no, the instructions did not mention it was there. And there's no wire to connect, because the wire they give you for the connection's this one. But it looks like this Picade X board actually has a connector for the plasma. I may actually try plugging them into that. Okay. So... let me try configure this again, and hopefully I won't press anything by accident. Up, down, left, right. So start, select, button A, button B, okay, now I'm running into the problem I ran into yesterday. Key left shift? This is weird. Hi, Vintage Hillbilly Shack. Yes, I'm definitely running into the problem I ran into yesterday where I've got multiple buttons that are claiming to be the same thing. So X and Y X and Y buttons are not... This is getting frustrating. I know. So key X, left shoulder's X. Right shoulder, okay. So the B button and the Y button, so those are going to be buttons 1 and 2. So buttons 1 and 2, 1 and 2 are, it's, yeah, that's weird. That's the same problem I ran into yesterday, complicated by the fact that the buttons weren't some of the buttons weren't making good contact, so it wasn't even detecting them. But now I'm going to have to post something to the Pimoroni forums, I guess. And I'm also running into the problem where once I configure it, I can't seem to press the OK button. Is there any way to perform a factory reset if needed? Yes, there is. It's called, I'll take the micro SD card that I created Monday out, and I'll put the micro SD card that I created yesterday evening in. It's a brand new install of RetroPie. How's that for a quick factory reset? Yeah, maybe something's wrong with the install. Either that or the Pimoroni driver assumes you're going to leave it on British English keyboard, but I can't enter my Wi-Fi password with a British English keyboard. Partially because I don't have a British English keyboard to see where the keys move to. Okay, so maybe what I'm going to do... That doesn't make sense, though. The keys that it was detecting when I pressed those buttons... I don't see how the British English keyboard would have shift where an US English keyboard has a letter. That just seems weird that those scan codes would conflict. Okay, so let me connect to Wi-Fi. Which, actually, what I'm going to do to make it easier on myself to enter my Wi-Fi password is I'm going to go to be right back. That way I can enter my Wi-Fi password without accidentally revealing something I don't want to, and hopefully we'll be able to nail it first try because I won't be trying to juggle things to keep them from showing up on screen. So I will be back momentarily with Wi-Fi password configured. All right. I have entered my Wi-Fi password. I did get it first try, partially because I changed the keyboard layout. Now I'm going to, for this troubleshooting, change the keyboard layout back to British and then try the drivers. But that makes... because I can only guess that maybe they're emulating a British keyboard in their product. All right, so let's... I'm going to set this back to a locale of... oh, wait, I don't need to change the locale, or add a locale, but I'm going to change the locale back to en.gb, or en under gb.utf8. That's the default. Because this won't change the Wi-Fi country, because that would be bad. Alright, and then under localization options, I'm going to change the keyboard back to this one. So I can go back to English UK and back to that, the default for the keyboard. And you know, maybe I should have tried installing the Pimoroni drivers before I did that, but I think the other keys I need to type are common among both keyboards. Famous last words. Sometimes when you can't get things to work, you just have to try the defaults. Okay, so I got Wi-Fi running. So curl https:// so far so good, get dot pimoroni.com/Picade hat space pipe. Oh, I should have known this. Okay. Which key is going to have the pipe character? I now regret changing the keyboard layout. It's called Find the Pipe Character. Well, now I know where the tilde key is on the keyboard. Oh, okay. Fine. Alright, I'll do the get, and that should download the script. That's weird. Did I forget to enable Wi-Fi? These real... No? interface. Nope. Well, that's... Oh, I don't... Okay, sorry, I've got the wrong Firefox window open to see the chat. See if anyone's screaming at the chat, you've done something wrong. Nope. Alright, so I entered my SSID and password. And it didn't give me an error, but it did not connect. Alright, let me see if I have a spare Ethernet cable sitting on the bench. No. Alright, let me... Did changing... Okay, now that would be really funny if changing the locale changed the Wi-Fi country. That would be really funny. Alright. Alright, let's go. Wireless LAN, password, host name. Okay. Maybe I somehow didn't change. Okay. Alright. It kind of looked like I had not set the Wi-Fi country, even though I thought I did. So, alright, let's try that. That would explain why it wouldn't have connected to my Wi-Fi network. Luckily, my house is far enough away from most everyone that hopefully did not cause any undesired interference. If I did, sorry neighbors, I corrected it as quickly as I discovered it was there. Alright, and if this doesn't work, it still doesn't connect to Wi-Fi, then I'll go grab a Ethernet cable. I at least have a switch on the bench. I just don't have a spare Ethernet cable on the bench. Alright. Actually, let's see here. Get.pimoroni.com. Let me check that I got the URL right. Picade Hat. https://get.pimoro. Okay. Could not resolve host. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab a network cable real quick. I'll fix this the easy way. Okay, I now have an Ethernet cable attached. Alright, at least I got a connection. Okay. Of course, I can't see the... Alright, I gotta change the keyboard back to US until I get this this installed. Because I need the pipe character, and I have no idea where it is. Hiding on the keyboard with the British keyboard layout selected. Alright. I'll change the keyboard layout back to British when I'm done to see if that makes this work. Oh, did this error out? Oh, that's right. Okay. Thing I found yesterday. Gotta do a sudo apt update. Okay, so okay, I should reboot to take effect. All right. Actually, I'm going to because really I'm beginning to suspect that all right. Okay, so it's going to reboot. I'll have the drivers installed, and it will be as close to the default installation as possible. Wondering if the drivers are assuming that the keyboard layout is set at the default setting. Which could be the case, because maybe they assume that if you're using RetroPie, then since you don't have a keyboard attached, then you won't change that setting. But that would be really weird. Okay. So let's see here. Up, down, left, right. Start, select. All right, so button A, B, all right, hold on. It's not detecting my key press. Oh, well, I guess you could sort of see the area of the screen of interest. Okay. Already, okay. Seems like it wasn't detecting this key press. And it detected it as key left shift. Okay, either it's doing the same thing again, where it's seeing those two buttons as the same, or I'm going to have to, or that button's stopped working fantastically. Oh, I cracked the plastic removing those buttons. Lovely. Well, I guess I got stickers to fix the oops, although those are, I'll need really small stickers there. Well, I guess I'll just hit a key on the keyboard. So, X, detected as key Z, button Y, left Alt. Okay, I'm writing these down because I'm going to have to... Okay, it didn't detect button Y as the same. So, A, which is button 4, was left shift. B5 conflict or bad button. Okay, X was button... Wait a minute, no. A is button 4, B is button 1. Not... X, let's try to use button 5, and saw that as left Alt. That doesn't seem... No. X... Hold on, I'm getting things mixed up. X, it saw as Z. And Y, which I tried to use button 2, that one was left Alt. Okay. So the left shoulder, I'm going to try to use button 6. And it's all that as X. And then right shoulder, button 3, it's all that is space. These button assignments don't make any sense. Alright, I don't have a... Well, I guess left trigger, I'll use the front left button as I. And the front right button is the right trigger, and it's all that is O. Okay, and I don't have any keys. Arg. Okay. And now I can't save the config. Okay, this is just getting really... This controller board is not... I think now the problem is now that... That doesn't make any sense. Okay. I'm gonna have to put it probably a case, or I guess I'm gonna have to see if there's updated firmware for this Pimoroni board, because the keys it is mapping to these buttons, half of them do not make sense at all. Okay, so that's escape. Side left is escape. Side right is enter. Front left is marked as coin, I believe. Yeah, coin. Okay. Just making notes so that... All right. Oh, the instructions actually say to change the keyboard layout, so this driver must not require... Okay, I'm going to change the keyboard layout back, because the Pimoroni instructions do say that if you have trouble finding the pipe key to change your keyboard layout, so I'm hoping that's confirmation that they did not assume you left it on UK English. Of course, the thing is, I think it was seeing the same key press mappings with the UK keyboard selected as the US keyboard selected. So, alright. It does appear as if there's something amiss. So I'm going to go... Well, I'll wait for it to reboot again so I can see what the enter and escape buttons were mapping to. Let me go to the Pimoroni forums and see if there's new firmware or something. Whoops. Well, I didn't mean to press F4. I meant... So that is the Picade X USB-C. I will screen share here in a moment, so you can see what I find in the forums. All right. So let me at least zoom this in just a little bit. I think you'll... Just so you can see what I'm seeing a little easier. Picade X USB-C. Actually, let me see it in all topics and posts. Let's see. New 10-inch Picade. Alright, let me see all these posts. Okay. So there's someone with a Picade X USB-C kit. Inverted screen on RetroPie, that's not my problem. Player X controls. That might be my problem. Speaker wires, not my problem. Up and down not working on MAME, that's not it. Console compatibility, that's not it. New X Hat available to percept, that's not it. Plasma software not working. Well, I may want to look at that. Okay, I am actually to the point where I am cold down here, so I'm actually going to go grab a pullover and I will be right back. Alright, I am back. And I know that means now I'm no longer wearing the Raspberry Pi t-shirt, but... well... it's 57 degrees Fahrenheit in the basement. I'm actually surprised I lasted that long wearing a t-shirt. So anyways, let's see if any of these support forum posts describe my problem. Alright. Recipe and Buster on Pi 4, RetroPie installed on top of that. Completely stock build of the Picade arcade kit. Well, that does seem about like my... well, I'm using the... I don't know if anyone else is here, but I'm live streaming anyways. Well, I showed 2 people watching, so maybe someone's lurking. Let's see here. Oh, looks like they're having... oh, they're having sound problems. Oh, yep. Hi, Cathor. Glad you're still here. Just trying to see if I can figure out why the characters... why the buttons don't seem to line up with sensible keys. Picade X Hat configured to a zippy joystick. Oh. Well, there's someone that replaced the Picade X Hat with something else. Data clock. Oh, lovely. Okay, so that's someone that... huh? Well, it looks like they supposedly fixed something, but... I don't know. Okay, that doesn't explain my plasma issue. USB-C connector's broken. Old Picade X Hat. Nope, that's not the product I'm using. Buttons/stick not detected. Buttons not work, but joystick and speaker does. 3D printed backlit marquee. Now that sounds cool, but not helping debugging. Alright, let's see if either of these... someone's... oh, this is the same... well, that doesn't help. Button's not working. So they're using... oh, they're using a Pi 3B. And none of the buttons work. And they're using an X Hat. Screen goes out of... nope, that's not my problem. Alright, well, there's nothing on their forums. Oh, wrong keyboard. Alright, let me see if they have anything about... Picade firmware. Nope. Picade alternate firmware. Oh, that's August 2015. December 16. February 18. Alright, maybe what I need to do is go to the Pimoroni GitHub. Okay, let's see if I can't find the Pimoroni GitHub. Because forums are not helping this problem. Alright, let's see if there's anything like firmware in the repository for the Picade X USB. Although I suspect it's in the Picade repository. I guess we can look in that too, because that's another problem I'm having. Okay, so in the Picade controller Arduino, is this it? Ooh, forum links. Excellent. Oh, that doesn't look like the right board. I bet that's not the right board. No, that's the wrong Picade board. Picade X? Okay, Picade Hat? No, okay. I'm not 2016. I'm not convinced that's even the right hardware version. Picade. All right, I think I'm just going to have to write a forum post and because they don't seem to have any documentation on the USB-C Picade X Hat. This leads me to believe they may not have open sourced it. Well, there's someone that wants to do something. Hack header. No. That doesn't make sense. I thought they did open source it. Okay, I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to see if I can't see anything on this board that might help me find its repository without hopefully unplugging all the wires. Alright, so it's a Picade X USB-C oh, it's screwed down. I can't unplug it. Okay. Picade X USB-C. Oh. Yeah, I'm just going to create a new forum post because. Oh, well, enjoy your food, Alex. I'm about to. I don't know. I might be about to give up because I can't. I can't find the GitHub repository for this board, or at least anything that looks like the GitHub repository for this board, to see if there's updated firmware, because I think the firmware is updatable. TwoSoft keyboard emulation, gamepad emulation, 3 axes, and Picade. Picade. Timer 1, readme. Picade 2015 firmware. This is the firmware source code for the retail Picade PCB released in 2015. Which I don't think is correct because this is the USB-C version, which was released in 2019, according to the label on the box. I'm also not convinced that they don't have multiple products that are called Picade. Okay. Oh, well, let me see here. Here's the... Okay, so this is the Picade X board. Maybe there's a link on this page. No. There's a Python library. Find the 14 buttons to Linux key codes from a virtual keyboard input. Yeah, see Picade.txt for full documentation. All right. Picade.txt. Bind up, down, left, right to WASD and disable audio. What are the default key bindings? Huh. Ah. Enter, escape, coin. Oh, well, those look like the default key bindings. Let's see. Okay, Picade.txt said where the... Here we go. Where they're defined. So they're defined in this. Oh, cool. All right, here we go. I think I can now check where the problem lies. Okay, so the up is assigned to code 103, which is key up. Okay. Well, I don't think I need to check those. Button 1 is code 29. Code 29 is left control. That does not seem right. Button 2 is left alt. That does not seem right at all. Someone switch over to new DT overlay method. All right, I think I know what question I need to ask on the forums. I need to ask what the default button assignments should be. Because I think I see that the device tree overlay, which is going to be used to... it's long and complicated, and I don't really know how to explain it, but I kind of know what it is. But not in an explainable way, but anyways, it's used in the boot process. And apparently, it's where the key bindings are for the hat that converts the GPIO and the code that is going to be sent. And I'm sure the driver's involved somehow. It looks like the key bindings in the device tree overlay are the ones I'm seeing, which is frustrating because I know of no games that are going to want left alt or left control, because that's the key that I could not get it to detect at all, because apparently RetroPie probably doesn't like you assigning the control key to anything. But assigning the button that's probably A to left shift, and the B to control, X to Z, Y to left alt. Well, maybe they intended X to be button 6. But the thing is, I would expect that there would be a key mapped to A, B, X, Y. Because when you're using a buttons on a arcade, it doesn't probably matter so much. Or at least I would think you'd be up, down, left, right, and at least your other game buttons would be something that'd make more sense. Not using shift and alt keys. That is so weird. I think their default key bindings are just all wacky. Although I don't know why. Are there just not anyone that tried to use this board? They just use their own controllers? I don't know. I can't explain it. That's just... Their key mappings are bizarre. And they're causing problems. Maybe everyone that bought a Picade's using older version of RetroPie. But... I don't know. It does seem, though, as if the hat is... I mean, I do see that the documentation does describe how to override them. So maybe I just need to figure out what keys those should map to, and... I think you go in the boot config file and just override the mappings. Maybe that's what I need to do. All right. Let me see if I can find the RetroPie. I'll remap the... Okay, so it does appear as if the RetroPie defaults are the coin should be mapped to 5, start mapped to 1. So right, left, up, down are the arrow keys, so that's fine. Oh, it really does want left control and left alt for switch 1 and 2, space for 3, left shift for 4, 5 is Z, 6 is X, A and B are... I guess those would be the shoulder keys, maybe? I don't know. All right, I don't know. Maybe this is weird. I've not used RetroPie before, so I didn't know what its controls expected. So it looks like the default RetroPie button mappings match the ones RetroPie is expecting. So I guess I guess the real problem I need to do is figure out how you bypass the keyboard configuration altogether. Because I just wanted to use the default controls. Controller configuration. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to. Okay. Hopefully, I didn't mess up the default RetroPie keyboard binding. So I'm going to see if maybe if I can somehow get it to just ignore me. Ignore. I just want to use the default keyboard settings because I'm having trouble changing them. I don't know why it keeps seemingly crashing when I try to change them. So let's see if maybe if I put my thumb drive in, if maybe it will eventually skip this welcome screen. I guess in the meantime, let me... Okay. I'm trying to see if I can figure out how to just use the default keyboard bindings. I don't want to... I don't want to have to configure them. I just want it to use the defaults. Or I'll... Fine. Okay. I'll hold the key on the keyboard. Alright. I'm just going to use the keyboard to configure these. Start defaults to... I think 1. Select... Yes, enter. Button A defaults to... Alt, Control, left shift, space, X Z and I guess I and O. Hopefully that'll work. Hi, RetroTech Chris. I'm trying to, and it's just not cooperating. Hi, Jeremy. It's like... This is the most frustrating thing to configure. Well, I don't know what to define it as. I don't know what the hotkey's supposed to be on the Picade. I'm having like multiple problems, which is driving me nuts. RetroPie default key bindings are silly. The arcade buttons are cheap and awful, and I had to deoxit them to even get them to somewhat work. I still have one that I don't think's working quite right. The hotkey, anything I like. Well, it needs to be, if it's important, I need it something I can press on the RetroPie that's not assigned to something else. Which I think's that button. Because I don't want to run this with the keyboard all the time. Yeah, it's... And the thing is, once let's see. Cue my statement that half these buttons are... Oh. Hotkey enabled. Okay. ZX left alt space. IO. Return. Okay, let me see if I can figure out what key that there's one more button that I haven't assigned. And if I can figure out what it maps to by default. Let's see here. It's the escape, and it's Linux code 1, which is the escape key. And that seems to be the one key that I can't map anything to. Fine. Backs. Yep. And then I run into this problem where once I get to the bottom and get to OK, it will not let me OK. I know, it's... They're reading out... Okay, so basically, this... Okay, the frustrating thing is I can't find any documentation on Um, all right. I don't know why. Once it gets down to the OK box, I've never been able to do anything with that OK box. Let me reboot. It's not done yet, Thomas. I've at least figured out that the Picade X controller is mapping buttons to the default key bindings in RetroPie, which don't make sense to me. I have no idea who would design a game and use the Control and Alt key as the problem with disconnecting the keyboard is that some of my arcade buttons don't work at all. And I need to be able to press and hold a key to skip the configuration. Apparently, this welcome screen appears anytime if you don't have a gamepad connected. I don't have any gamepads to connect. Yeah, I know it's not. It doesn't detect the Picade Hat as a gamepad. So the Picade Hat is actually emulating a keyboard, it seems like. There is no good documentation on Pimoroni's website as to how you're actually supposed to the instructions simply say to run the bash script that I've already run, which says it will set up the joystick and buttons, the audio and the power button. And then implies that you're ready to go after that. Yes, all the wires are still plugged in. That's about as much as I can recheck. And I have them all plugged into things that should be responding. These arcade buttons are just awful. Oh, and now I've mapped D-pad up to the letter O. The X Hat has power. If the X Hat, you plug power into the X Hat. To the best of my knowledge and ability to debug, they are correct. Even if they're not correct, they are all connected to arcade buttons. So they should map to... Alright, so yellow, pink, blue, yellow, pink. Well, that doesn't... Yeah, yellow, pink, okay. Hi, Dave. According to these instructions, now this may be a different version of the Picade Hat, but according to these instructions, you plug a 3 amp power supply, and I'm using the official, 2.5 amp power supply. I'm using the official Raspberry Pi USB-C power supply, which I'm pretty sure is a 3 amp supply, or at least 2.5 amps. You plug that into the The instructions say the micro USB connector on the Picade X Hat, but these instructions are wrong. It's a USB-C connector. There is no micro USB connector on it. So, actually, I know it has power because it is... You can use the buttons, and I just have... Yeah, I'm getting frustrated with the instructions because there's a disconnect between what Pimoroni gives you, and unfortunately their diagram just simply shows... It's a line drawing. I know it's going to be hard to see, but so it shows where all the buttons connect, but unfortunately what they don't do for buttons 1 through 6, they just tell you what color a button to use. They don't tell you if it's buttons 1 through 6. I don't think I'm having a power problem. I think I'm having an arcade button that's not making good contact because it's just a cheap arcade button problem. And I don't know which buttons are supposed to map to what in RetroPie, because the directions don't really say. So I'm just going to start hitting buttons, honestly, because I don't know. See, this button's not even making contact, even though I deoxed it about an hour or hour and a half ago. Probably 2 hours ago. It's probably not making contact. I don't think I need to try continuity test. It's a cheap arcade button. It wasn't making contact before I deoxed it 2 hours ago. The Deoxit is worn off. It's the button itself. If it says anything, I'll... So these are the buttons I'd tried to use. This is just a random one. I'm hoping it doesn't make a fool out of me, but just for an example. So, alright, so this is how great these buttons are. Okay, so this one's working. But I know I'm going to grab one of these very soon. That, see, I'm holding the button in. See how you don't hear a beep anymore. This button is already. So I'm holding it in. There we go. Nope. So I'm holding it in. And it's reading, multimeter's reading OL. That's how great these buttons are. They make, before I deoxed the color buttons, they were making intermittent most of them were making intermittent contact. Some of them would work fine. That was the same problem with the clear ones, which is why I removed the clear ones, because I deoxed the buttons and then put them in. But yeah, the Deoxit's worn. That's what's happened to that one button. The Deoxit's already worn off. I'm just going to use the keyboard to assign it. See, these are fine. Yeah, I'm already out of keys. Okay, well, I can't. All right, I just want to. All right, I'm just want to see if I can get to the point where once I get to the bottom of this list, it'll actually let me save it. I know I'm hitting enter now that OK is selected, and it is on the keyboard. This is what it's doing once I assign the keys, which it's making me assign keys. No, that's spacebar. So escape doesn't work, spacebar doesn't work, enter doesn't work. Windows key doesn't work, of course not. Oh, that's interesting. Caps lock doesn't toggle caps lock. That's really weird. Use the key that you assigned to A or B. Oh, that. Oh, now how did I get to that menu? Well, unfortunately, the controls are going to be all messed up. Unfortunately. Oh, let's see if it does anything. Well, I got it to launch a game. Oh, yeah. Well, here's I've got the controls are all messed up because I couldn't because I accidentally hit a button at some point. Oh, now I got to try to remember what I hit assigned to start. Okay, let me see if now that I know you have to press A to save. Let me see if I can try to assign these keys to what they should be assigned. But first I got to figure out what I assigned to the start. Nope, that's not it. Start and the hotkey will get you out of a game. Yeah, I assigned the hotkey to B is close. Okay, what did I assign to the start key? Because I just started hitting things. Configure input. Okay, here we go. Oh. Yes, I want to configure input. Okay. Let's see if I can... Okay. Part of the problem was I accidentally hit a key when I tried to configure up. And then my other struggle is I don't know which of these buttons they really meant for you to use as the start and the... Actually, I think they intended start to be that one. And select this one. Okay. I'll assign the hotkey to that button if it lets me. Okay, so button A is this one. Button B is that one, but that button's not working, so that's mapped to control. X, Y. I guess. And I don't think I have anything for these other keys. I'm all out of... No, I want to skip. I want to skip that. Okay. Well, let me play a game. Whoops. Let's see. Which one was assigned to X? Ah. Well. Okay, it's kind of hard to... Well, I don't know that I'm necessarily cooking because I'm... Well, I've got a... Yeah, I don't know, Yeah, it's the... It'll just have to be a mystery, Chris. I don't know why they have 25s on them either. Okay. The screen is sharp. It is incredibly hard to play with the console on its side. That's for sure. I mean... and the thing is, I'm also having a latency problem because I can't see the screen because it's laying down on its side so you can see it. I'm playing from the screen, going through the camera on top of my bench, through the capture card onto OBS. So I have a latency problem. Because when I tried to use the capture card so that we could all see the output at the same time, it was so pixelated no one could see anything. So, yeah. I still am fighting button problems. So, because that... Unfortunately, if I was reviewing this Pimoroni Picade, which I guess indirectly I am, I'm not sure I can recommend it because of the arcade buttons. Because they're cheap. They're like... Honestly, Pimoroni cheaped out on these buttons. These are not great buttons at all. No, I think the button controller is working fine. I believe it's the buttons, not the button controller. Unfortunately, I don't have any better buttons to try it with. But I really think it's these arcade buttons that are the problem. Because I went through all the buttons that I have on here, and some of them did not make pass the continuity check on my multimeter until I deoxited them, and then did this right after deoxiting them for many dozens of times, and then they started making contact. And in the 2 hours since I did that, some of them aren't making contact again. It's almost like for some of them, the Deoxit was making contact. So I believe, no, I haven't ordered new ones because I'm not ordering buttons from Pimoroni. Because it would be the same buttons that I've got that I think are the problem. And the only place I've found that I can order the Pimoroni buttons is from Pimoroni, and they're in the UK. And I don't really want to pay international shipping for cheap arcade buttons. If I could find... I think Adafruit may have had some of them, but Adafruit did not have the clear ones from Pimoroni. Yeah, that would be good. If you can... If you have that link, I will... Oh, okay. How about when I finish streaming, if you want to put that link as a comment, and I'll see if those buttons will work, because I think I need to try different buttons. And I'm just trying to think if I have any buttons of enough quantity that I could hook some up and demonstrate that the Picade X board's working. I think I have some buttons somewhere, but I don't know where they are. But yeah, I think that is one thing I need to do, is I need to demonstrate that that board works. Well, if it's a $19 set with a joystick, that's cheaper than me ordering these buttons from Pimoroni. In fact, I might actually... Yeah, I wouldn't mind having an extra joystick. Someday I want to build a full-size arcade cabinet. I'm not necessarily going to use the Picade X. You know, now I kind of see why there's people on the Pimoroni forums that gave up and used a USB controller with their Picade. Because these buttons are cheap. And these plasma, I can't get the plasmas to work. Their driver that it installs, the service doesn't start. Or it starts and then fails. Which I guess might as well be it doesn't start. So yeah, I think I need to swap the buttons out. And I don't know where I have a button. These buttons are garbage. In fact, I think pulling the buttons out, I think one of these clear buttons I actually managed to push out the switch mechanism from the button itself, applying practically no force to it. So yeah. All right. So at least I have the Picade together. I think if I can get better buttons, the controller actually works. It'll play games. The screen's sharp. I can't really do it justice with the capture device. But, and I forgot which button I assigned to exiting the game. Oh, well. So, yeah, I think I'm going to order better buttons. I mean, it's a shame that they cheaped out on the buttons, because, seriously, this plasma set was $60. exit buttons. Oh. There we go. That's right. You hold both of those together. So anyway, I mean, yeah, I will see if I can find some other buttons that I know reliably work that I can at least modify those. That would solve the problem and be awesomely satisfying in the same I'll play Zelda someday. I'm not going to do it tonight because it's 11:40 and I've got to be at work early tomorrow morning again. Although luckily the 3-day series of meetings will be over tomorrow, so I can go back to not being as work as early. But anyways, yeah, I can't do Zelda do justice tonight because I think one of the buttons I need to use to play it is broken. I mean, I am almost certain that I will need to press that button and it's broken. So, or it's not making contact. So anyways, yes, Vintage Hillbilly Shack, I will check your link out. Definitely get some better arcade buttons on order because I need to be able to do Zelda do justice. I actually will see if Cherry MXs would fit in these switches. They might. I'll have to check it out. Or see if there's arcade buttons that can take Cherry MXs. That's a really great idea. But anyways, yeah, I'll at least get some better arcade buttons on hand. I also will see if there is any way I can find a better way to capture the video output on this, because I tried it and it just did not do it any justice. It was a disservice. I mean, it was so bad I couldn't even read it in yeah, it was that bad. So anyways, if you like this video, please click that like button. It'll make me feel better about my struggles with this Picade cabinet. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe and check out that 64 subscriber giveaway. There's still about 2 weeks left to enter as of this video's date. Oh, that's right. He did build a controller in his last video. And stay tuned. I will be... I think I've got it scheduled for tomorrow evening, and I hope it's long enough. The time I have to do it's long enough. But hopefully I'll be able to do the 2CI recap tomorrow evening. I had to push it off, but I really hope to do that tomorrow evening after MacYac. So I will have to move the Picade off my workbench so I can do that. But yes, I am going to go ahead and sign off so I can get to bed so that I can think clearly tomorrow when I hopefully will be able to do the stream to recap the 2CI logic board. Because I have the parts. I think they're right here. So I am ready to go for that. So with that, I hope everyone has a great evening. And I will hope to see you next time. So take care and have a good evening.